I heard financial fraud prosecutions are at a 20-year low. Why can't Obama bring Wall Street to justice?
Because Obama doesn't want to. Obama has chosen not to do that. He's listened to Timothy Geithner, Treasury Secretary, who's convinced him, through his close connections to the banks, that he really doesn't want to actually mess anything up, because messing stuff up would ruin the economy and then Obama would be blamed. And in a kind of small, petty way, it's true, but it's not looking at the bigger picture of, like, how do we get this on the right track in the medium and longer term.
He did run on that platform, though.
No, he didn't. He didn't talk about it. And guess what? Neither did Romney. Nobody talked about it. Nobody talked about the breaking up the big banks.
Not breaking up, but bringing him to justice? I thought he ran on that.
He didn't. And by the way, I just want to throw in that I'm not saying he never said anything at all. He might have said something, but that certainly wasn't a big talking point on his platform. One of the few lobbyist groups that was highly visible at both the Republican and the Democratic National Convention, both conventions, was the financial lobbyist group. They sponsored events and hosted events and schmoozed and basically bought the right to not be discussed by either of the candidates. The candidates did not have a reasonable discussion about financial reform. And that was not a coincidence. That was due to direct pressure from the lobbyist groups.
Can you talk about what happened recently with the scandal, the HSBC scandal?
I mean, I'm not an expert on that scandal, but as I understand it, they admitted to laundering billions of dollars for drug lords, and they didn't get in trouble. Because that's where we are right now. That's how afraid we are to prosecute criminal activity when it comes to, like, anywhere near a bank. We can't seem to summon up the balls to jail people for drug money laundering.
About Goldman Sachs, even people from Wall Street, even people that are not on the side of Occupy, they still seem to hate Goldman Sachs. What did Goldman Sachs do?
Partly Goldman Sachs, they're just really smart and they do their homework and they manage to sneak out of any kind of trouble. They smell it before it happens, before the shit hits the fan, and they're out the door. The way I look at it is, it's like a poker game. It's an illegal poker game where the people who have connections to the cops sneak out the back door before the cops come to raid the illegal poker game. And Goldman Sachs are the guys who've snuck out by the time the cops come. So they were dirty. They had their hands dirty, but they didn't get in trouble for it. And they never do.
How is Occupy fighting the banks?
Well, Occupy is fighting the banks on many levels. First, in terms of actual regulation, we're submitting public comment letters to the SEC and to other regulators to try to convince them to do the right thing and to have some balls. At another level, we're interacting with people who we think are close to decision makers, so that we can see what the pressure points are. But I sort of think that the most important goal for Occupy in general, but for the group itself in particular, is to engage with the public, to educate them on what the system is and to give them talking points, so that when they are asked, like, oh, why do you think there's fraud in the financial system, that they have reasonable answers. A lot of people dismiss occupiers for being ignorant of finance, which to some extent is true, but on the other hand, the general public is ignorant of finance. I would argue that even people in finance don't really understand the whole thing because it's too complicated. So one thing our group is trying to do is basic education, and also a sort of a supportive network to give out the message far and wide that it's okay to complain about a system that's fucking you, even if you don't know exactly how it works. You don't need to know how something works. You need to know how it affects you. And if the end result is we pay for bankers' mistakes, that's not a working system. And it's okay to say that, even though you don't know exactly how everything in finance works.
And can you talk about some of the things that the Alternative Working Group has done, some of the actions and initiatives?
So as I said, we've submitted a bunch of comment letters to the SEC, to the FDIC. We've submitted a comment letter to the new Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, asking them to open up the credit modeling, so for credit scores for people. Because we think it's a crazy system that people should understand more. Not just what information is used, which you get for free once a year, but exactly how it's used. We submitted an amicus brief for the SEC Citigroup case for Judge Jed Rakoff in support of the SEC, which is to say against Citigroup. And we've to the public end, we've written a bunch of flyers to explain the financial system in a few steps, some talking points on what we should think should happen. We're working on some stuff with breaking up the big banks, which we've rebranded as tobacco. We want to say ban tobacco. Tobacco is an acronym that means too interconnected, big, and complex to oversee. We have a really fantastic art project that we did with some wonderful artists, and it culminated in a card deck called 52 Shades of Greed, which is available for purchase on 52shadesofgreed.org. I can't think of other things offhand. We certainly participate in marches, like the big ones. Hold on a second. So more recently, we've had Sheila Bair and Neil Borofsky come and talk to the group, which has been really fantastic. We've had lots of really, really interesting questions and community growth through that. We pick up a lot of new members when we have somebody really awesome come and talk to our group. Just today, we had somebody who's an ex-Moody's analyst come and talk about credit rating agencies and pressure points for fixing the problem through credit rating agencies.
But it's great, these talks, but that stays within the group. How can the general audience get that information, or what they talk to you about to the group?
Well, number one, through interviews like this. We have a blog, a public blog, which you can find if you Google Alternative Banking NYCGA, or probably just Alternative Banking blog. We have, as I said, we have flyers for the public. We are open to the public. Anybody could come. We have our minutes posted publicly, so anybody could read if they're not in the New York area. They can always email me, and they could be on the mailing list, Cathy.O'Neil@gmail.com. So we want to reach out, obviously, to the public, because they are the ones who are the taxpayers, and they're the ones on the hook for the problems that the banks have.
And what's the future for alternative banking? What are some of the future?
As soon as all the bank problems are gone and the incentive systems are in place that work, we're going to stop meeting.
You stop meeting? Okay. But weren't you coming out with a book or something? Or?
Oh yeah, well we're hoping to come out with a pamphlet by the 2nd year anniversary, which sort of embodies some of our basic principles. So there's going to have our statements about too big to fail, breaking up the banks, municipal bond issues, demands for the next bailout. We sort of believe that because the problems haven't been solved, it's just a matter of time before there's another crisis and another bailout. It could be precipitated by a European crisis or not. In any case, if you don't fix problems, they don't go away and they just get worse. So we're expecting that to happen, and we want the next round of bailouts to have strings, accountability, correct incentives. We want the homeowners to be saved as well as the bankers, or whoever it is. Maybe it's going to be the renters next time. We're not really sure. Another thing, by the way, we want to put in our pamphlet is the private equity buying up all the homes for rentals, and what are the renter agreements looking like. We've heard some really bad news about renters being expected to fix the roof if it's leaking, things like that. Crazy.
Weren't you guys also designing a new bank, the Occupy Bank?
So there's another group in Occupy called Occupy Bank whose mission is to start a new banking system. And you should talk to them about their ongoing project, which seems really exciting.
But you know anything about it? Like how that's going?
You know what? I'm not going to speak for them because they asked me not to. But you should really talk to them.
Okay, definitely. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.